important matter. With me this morning is Clay County Sheriff Darryl Daniels, an FBI Jacksonville Special Agent in Charge, Rachel Rojas, as well as many members of the FBI, the State Attorney's Office, and the Clay County Sheriff's Office. This morning we are confirming that the remains of 65-year-old Clay County resident Susan Mauldin were recovered last week from the Chester Island landfill in Folkston, Georgia. Mauldin was reported missing on October 25th, 2019, and last night, 45-year-old Corey Binderim was detained for the murder of Susan Mauldin. This morning I'd like to introduce Clay County Sheriff Darryl Daniels to provide you with more facts about the case and share with you his agency's investigation. Sheriff?
Thank you. I'll get to my notes, excuse me. As the State Attorney said, Ms. Mauldin went missing in October from her residence in Fleming Island, Florida. Detectives from the Clay County Sheriff's Office Robbery Homicide Unit were assigned to the missing persons case initially. Investigation revealed that Susan Mauldin was presumed missing and endangered, and Corey Binderim was developed as a person of interest as a result of the investigation. Information was developed early on in the investigation that the Rosemary Hill Waste Management Transfer Facility in Clay County, Florida was a place of interest for the detectives. This facility is a transfer station from Clay County wastes to be moved to the Chester Island landfill in Folkston, Georgia. The Clay County Sheriff's Office contacted the FBI and requested assistance in this part of the investigation. Several logistical meetings were held between the Clay County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, the State Attorney's Office, and Waste Management. A search area was identified and secured. Later logistical planning into the search of the landfill continued until a search date was established. Members of the Clay County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and the State Attorney's Office represented the majority of the individuals responsible for the search conducted at the landfill. The search was conducted over a 10-day period where approximately 7,300 tons of waste was processed. Human remains were discovered on the 9th day of the search. As a result, the Georgia Bureau of Investigations assisted in the identification of the remains where it was determined to be that of Susan Mauldin. An arrest warrant was prepared and signed for Corey Binderim on charges of murder and tampering of evidence. So with that additional information, I'll take questions or we'll defer to later.
Yeah, we can defer.
We'll defer.
So I next want to introduce, before doing so, I want to thank you, Sheriff, and the men and women of Clay County, but I want to introduce Special Agent in Charge, Rachel Rojas of FBI Jacksonville. In the last 3 years, I've had the opportunity to witness the FBI evidence response team in action, and frankly, it is a remarkable undertaking and operation that frankly words cannot do justice. FBI Jacksonville has been an incredible partner to us in this investigation, and frankly, without the FBI, we would not have recovered Susan Mauldin, and we would not be here today. So, Special Agent Rojas, thank you and your team. You've been instrumental in organizing the search. I'll turn it over to you to explain the search.
Well, thank you, Melissa and Sheriff Daniels, both being here today. And the FBI is always proud to be partnered with all of your agencies, but particularly on this case with both of you. So I can't thank you and your teams enough. And like you, we are all hurting because we know how difficult this news is on Ms. Mauldin's friends and neighbors. But we are also relieved and thankful that we have some answers that we can provide to them today. I'll begin by sharing some of the details of the search. The FBI began working with the Clay County Sheriff's Office after they identified the Chester Island Road landfill in Folkston, Georgia, as a possible location for evidence in this case. Thankfully, the FBI developed a great relationship with the landfill and waste management in the recent past, and their team was very willing to help us once again. Chester Island Road landfill is very organized, so they directed us to the area where the evidence would most likely be, and then preserve that area. They held it by diverting all new incoming debris to other areas of the landfill. Over the next few weeks, Clay County detectives pushed their investigation forward until it was determined that conducting this search could be the key to their case. In the meantime, we began working with the FBI Laboratory, the Criminal Division, and FBI Atlanta to confirm the logistics of the search, because these types of operations require extensive planning and preparation. The team from the FBI Laboratory deployed to the landfill on Monday, January 20th, to set up, and on Tuesday morning, January 21st, the physical search began. Each day, the teams would arrive early in the morning, they attended a safety brief, and they began searching at sunrise in an effort to take advantage of as much daylight as possible in a 12-hour shift. In total, we called upon 213 personnel throughout the week from all of our agencies, including special agents, deputies, correction officers, administrative personnel, medical staff, and many more. Each day, there were about 70 to 90 personnel on site, it also included the 40 people searching. They were divided into teams that rotated constantly, so our medical staff could evaluate them to make sure that they were hydrated and healthy. Their well-being is always a priority, but especially in this type of search because it's so physically and mentally challenging. The area that we targeted was approximately the size of a baseball diamond, and the weather, although it was cool and wet at times, was cooperative overall, so we made very good progress each day. By the afternoon on Wednesday, January 29th, which was our 9th day of searching, we had worked through approximately 7,170 tons of debris when a Clay County corrections officer came across what appeared to be a portion of a skull. So we paused the search and we called the medical examiner. We resumed that search the next morning, and that's when the FBI employee located some additional remains in the same general area where the skull was also found. Later that day, on Thursday, January 30th, we received confirmation that Ms. Mauldin's dental records were a match, and that there was no doubt that we finally found her. The news was heartbreaking for all of us. We've come to know a lot about Ms. Mauldin through this investigation, and we know that she was cherished by many people in the community. But we're also encouraged because it was the confirmation of what we believed all along, and now we are able to take this very big step forward towards justice for her, because she certainly did not deserve to be taken away from us in this way. I'd like to note how significant this case is to the FBI laboratory. We have conducted over a dozen searches like this over the past several years, and this is the first successful recovery of human remains that have been processed in a landfill. And that comes down to the partnership of the State Attorney's Office and Clay County. So thank you both for the FBI's first. We were also able to bring home Summer Thompson, as you all know, in 2009. This was the first time a victim had been recovered as well after a landfill had been processed. So landfill searches present a variety of extremely challenging obstacles, from the use of heavy equipment to environmental factors like temperature, humidity, organic materials, all contribute to the degradation of evidence, and this recovery is very significant to the FBI. I am very thankful to the FBI Laboratory Evidence Response Team and the Technical Hazard Response Unit because they came in and provided the oversight to this investigation. And I also want to recognize the FBI Jacksonville Evidence Response Team for their dedication to this search. I am very, very, very proud of Jacksonville's ERT team, my Jacksonville personnel, and my task force partners, because without their hard work and dedication throughout the last several days, I'm not sure we would have been as successful as we were today. But before we close, I have other people to recognize, and they are the most important people to the FBI, and it's our partners, because they make this happen every day, and without them we wouldn't be a team. So first, I'd like to say thank you to the Clay County Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Daniels, your detectives were supreme and professional. And they worked right alongside. We were one team. And they were on the search line every day, and you couldn't tell any of us apart. But I also want to recognize the State Attorney's Office, for they also came out and worked on that line. And Melissa, thank you for joining us on the site, because that is an inspiration to have the State Attorney on site with us to inspire not just her own team, but all of us, because of her dedication to this case, but more importantly to justice. It says a lot. I can't thank you enough. We also received support from NCIS, Customs Border and Protection, Nassau County Sheriff's Office, who also offered their staff to assist in the search. I also want to thank Charlton County, Georgia Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Dobie Connor, and Major Kenneth Jones, who were also on site with us each day. Thank you to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation for coordinating the transfer of evidence back to Florida, and also the University of Florida Forensic Anthropology Lab and the Human Identification Lab for providing their expertise as well. And then to the management team at Chester Island Road Landfill and Waste Management. We are so thankful for their cooperation. We know that these types of cases and operations are very difficult, not just on us, but on them as well. And they never once questioned if this was worth it. They came out and worked with each of us every day, to include the weekend and all 12 hours. So without them, we wouldn't be able to share in this positive news today. So with that, I will turn it back over to Melissa Nelson.
Rachel, thank you. As you've heard, this exhaustive investigation has been far-reaching, and it left no stone unturned. As we began this new year, however, we still did not have Susan Mauldin's body. The recovery of Susan Mauldin's remains now sadly confirms what we believed to be true since October, but this tireless effort is worth important recognition, because this is like searching for a needle in a haystack. And I too want to join the sheriff and the special agent Rojas to commend our searchers and search team. They raked through literally a mountain of garbage. And some morning they began their search in freezing temperatures, and they did this for one reason: a relentless search for truth. You've heard of all the agencies involved, but I personally too want to take a moment to relay my deepest gratitude to each and all of you for your work, sometimes in grueling conditions. The Clay County Sheriff's Office, I echo the remarks: professional, top-notch detectives. The FBI, FBI Jacksonville, FBI Atlanta, the FBI Evidence Response Team, the Charlton County Sheriff's Office, the Chester Island Waste Management Team, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Customs Border Patrol, the Naval Criminal Investigative Services, the University of Florida Anthropology Department, the Charlton County Coroner's Office. And finally, our own investigators and prosecutors who suited up to participate in the search every single day. Now Susan Mauldin can properly be laid to rest, and now we will begin our work to seek justice on her behalf. With that, we'll open this up for questions you may have of any of us. Yes, sir.
Have you been able to determine how she died, given the state of the remains?
An autopsy will be conducted next week.
Do you have any idea when you think she was killed?
I'm sorry?
Do you have an idea of the time frame of when you think she was killed?
We do. I don't want to get too much into the facts, but I will tell you that the detectives have developed a very tight time frame.
Can you talk more to Rosemary Hill? Was there any specific evidence that was found there that led to Georgia?
I'll let the sheriff talk about the connection of Rosemary to the Chester Island landfill.
Unfortunately, we won't be able to get into too much detail. This is the information that we could provide would compromise the prosecution of the individual named in arrest warrant. I would say this, that the investigative efforts of the robbery homicide unit of the Clay County Sheriff's Office developed enough information to believe that evidence would be obtained in the Clay County borders, and the evidence then would naturally progress to going to the Georgia landfill. So that's all I can give you right now. You know, unfortunately, yes, sir.
Can you say if Corey Binderim was seen at the Rosemary Hill transfer station?
I cannot divulge the information of the investigation to that degree of detail, unfortunately.
Can you talk more to how this, maybe the FBI, to how this might affect, you know, potential searches of landfills in the future? This is obviously significant that, you know, this outcome was yielded.
This was definitely a very unique circumstance for the FBI, and I think the hard work, the preparation, the planning, the talent from the State Attorney's Office and Clay County and their investigative, actionable intelligence led us to this situation. I'm not sure if every landfill will have success. Like I said, we've done dozens of these, and unfortunately, it is a needle in a haystack. We were very, very fortunate to bring her home, but we don't know. Each case will really have to be case by case, and the intelligence really has to bring you there, because it is a large investment, not just for the FBI, but for all of my partners. It's a lot of time and effort.
Do you anticipate any additional arrests in this case?
I'm sorry, any additional arrests?
Any additional?
We do not. He was detained last night for the murder of Susan Mauldin and tampering with evidence. He will be arraigned this week in Clay County.
Is he cooperating at this time, and do you have a first appearance date?
We do not this time. He's incarcerated on an uttery charge in Duval County. He's in the detention facility here in Duval. That case is set to be in court this upcoming Thursday.
Sheriff, what was the connection with Corey Binderim? What led you to him?
No, unfortunately, that's going to really bring in the level of details that I'm not willing to divulge. I don't want to do anything or say anything that's going to compromise the prosecution efforts of the state attorneys, and I know that you understand. But while I have the opportunity, I will echo what's been said up here. When this degree of network stakeholders come together to set their minds on a course to find a suspect who's committed a heinous crime such as this, anything is possible within the 4th Judicial Circuit. The leadership team represented behind me and the men and women of the robbery homicide unit all worked together as a cohesive group to bring closure to a case that was senseless. This lady didn't have to die. And, you know, as you follow this case and information is revealed to what happened, it is deeply saddening to understand what happened to Ms. Mauldin, and I'm personally affected by that. You know, unfortunately, Don, I just can't and I won't give too much detail.
Can you say if there was helpful physical evidence inside her house?
Yes, there was.
You mentioned that when searching the landfill that they found a skull, and later dental records confirmed that it was Mauldin, but it seemed as if you found, and I'm not trying to be gruesome here, but different parts of her body. Do you believe she was dismembered?
I will say. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you very much for coming out on a Saturday to cover this. And again, my deepest gratitude to all of you for joining us this morning, to you, Rachel, and to you, Sheriff Daniels. Thank you.
Thank you.